I am currently unvaccinated.
And what are you going to do come Monday?
I'm gonna come to work.
Well, from the way how it is looking, it looks like being vaccinated
is more important than the qualification.
Today, Friday, November the 19th, is V-Day. It is the day by which public sector workers here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are expected to be vaccinated against COVID-19 unless they have secured a religious or medical exemption. But across the country, in various sectors of the public sector, workers are pushing back. And here at the community college, at the Division of Technical and Vocational Education, teachers are using the mandate as an opportunity to leverage with the management of the college and the government to have certain issues addressed. And it's from here that we take up the story.
Today I am protesting my rights as a lecturer. I have been employed at the community college for the past 10 years. And it is not only about our choice for the vaccine that we're protesting about today, but there's some matters that have been ongoing for the past few years that we need to get dealt with immediately. Since we have been pushed to meet a deadline to be vaccinated, we are pushing back now in terms of the things that the college would have planned, and not even planned, but what is in legal writing that they were supposed to implement for the college.
What are some of those things?
So one of the main issues that we're protesting this morning is the pension plan. They should have been implemented 14 years ago, and currently what we see what is happening at the college is that some persons are pensionable and some are not pensionable. So those who are hired under the board, we have not yet been transitioned onto a pension plan. Over the years, we have had countless meetings, countless back and forth with emails, filling out forms, and still we have not received any sort of guarantee with our pension plan as lecturers here.
You spoke about the vaccine and you said you're pushing back. May I ask, what is your position?
I am fully vaccinated, and I do believe it is people's choice if they want to be vaccinated or not.
Basically, I am for no mandatory vaccination. I think that it is everyone's right to choose what they take into their body. I do not believe that anybody should be forced to take a vaccine. I really would have liked if our Prime Minister would have taken the approach where he would have basically walked along with the people and try and educate them more rather than force them to make a decision on vaccination. That is, rather than him forcing us to take a vaccination, it would have been best if he would have basically just try and walk along with us rather than forcing us to.
Do you mind if I ask you about your vaccination status?
I am currently unvaccinated.
And what are you going to do come Monday?
I'm going to come to work, and if whatever they choose to do at that point, then, but I will be here to teach my students.
Do you mind if I ask you if you have any plans to get vaccinated?
Do I have any plans? Well, at the moment, no. But so far, no one has given me sufficient information to convince me that it is, absolutely necessary. Okay, I'm not saying that people are not dying and people are not, suffering or whatever the cases might be. But at the same time, I believe that if you have a strong immune system and you're able to fight the virus, on the basis of that, then, you should be able to work with that. And once you, of course, take measures to protect others around you, such as wearing your mask and that kind of stuff, yes.
Is your position informed by a religious philosophy or belief?
I have some religious beliefs, yes.
But does that...
But my decision is not grounded on that. It's grounded more on the information that I have received, based here in our community and globally.
Basically, I'm here with grievances pertaining to my field of lecturing. I lecture in the ICT field, and one of the grievances that I have is the lack of working computers. Out of 4 labs, we have 2 that are actually in commission, 2 out of commission. And in one of those labs, mostly, only about maybe 60% of the computers are working. What happens in a classroom setting? I'm going to give you an example. If, for example, I have a lab, I will distribute the lab to the children or to the students, and they will have limitations in terms of accessibility to computers that are working. So you may have 15 students in a classroom, 10 computers working. Obviously, the 5 remaining students will have to wait for them to use the other computers that are working. Hence the reason sometimes we have to give them ample time to do their labs. And it's a limitation in terms of, like, we can do so much more with the fee, so much more in the courses, and I think that's one major grievance, especially for the ICT and the CT.
What would you say to people who might say, well, you guys are using the COVID-19 vaccine mandate as an excuse to raise all of these issues?
Well, I think what happened is that because the mandate was accelerated, we are now wondering, why is it that all the other grievances, all the other problems or issues that we have, why aren't they being attended to, why aren't they being sought out to solve them? So I think that's why we are here, because the mandate was accelerated, the pension plan isn't. We are looking for resources. Sometimes we have to do our own thing. We have the students bring their own laptops. So that is why we're here. I am in business studies of accounting at the DTVD. My first year, I'm a second year student. My first year has been a horrible experience due to lack of furniture. Some furnitures and improper conditions. Some of them are rusting, which defaces our school uniform. Some are shaking. Sometimes we fall and hurt ourselves from them. Furthermore, we paid for a technology fee on our school fees, and there are lack of computers. Some of the softwares and the computers are out of date, especially for the accounting groups. Sometimes we have to skip certain topics because the computers and the programs cannot help us in those areas.
My name is Rhea Mullen at DTV, Business Studies Accounting, year 2. As we said, our experience in year 1 was very hard because of the lack of items that we need to further our studies. We came here for opportunity to learn a lot of stuff. So when there's lack of when there's lack of resources that we need, how can we further our studies? And we have paid a lot of money to come here, and I don't know where the money went because we are not seeing it. And our lecturers, you can't force our lecturers to take vaccine. You know, that is against their will. So I think the government should reconsider this, because if they want to take it, that's their choice, that's their choice.
But the Prime Minister has said that for the economy to improve, among other things, 90% of the people 12 years and older for whom vaccines are advised, we need to take the vaccine, which means, I presume that you're older than 12, that you might have to take the vaccines soon. If it comes to that, what would be your position?
I wouldn't take it. If it comes to that and we have to take it to come to school, I would not come to school.
Can I ask you why?
Because I don't want to take it. Nobody is going to force me to take something that is against my will. Because if you take the vaccine, they say it can't prevent you from getting the virus. So why take the vaccine?
Because it can, they also say, prevent you from getting
It don't make no sense to me, because, for example, in England, if you take the second shot, that doesn't mean you're fully vaccinated. You're gonna need boosters and other stuff. So why take the vaccine and you're gonna need other stuff to build up your system? It don't make no sense to me.
Furthermore, with the government implementing mandatory vaccines, we are now worried about our education because our teachers go out of their way, they go the extra mile to make sure that they utilize the limited resources to provide us with the education that we need. And with them leaving and bringing someone who isn't trained or understand the condition that the college is in, we are wondering what will happen to our courses, how would the information be presented to us, and furthermore, what would happen to our teachers who don't have any jobs to provide bread for their families.
You spoke about people who are not trained, who don't have the experience coming to the college. You said that in reference to what exactly?
Well, from the way how it is looking, it looks like being vaccinated.
It's more important than the qualification, because first thing first, they're gonna ask you if you're fully vaccinated, and then I don't know about the requirements because
vaccination seems to be the requirement. It says that you are specialized, you're ready to become a teacher in the way that they are going.
that seems to be the main focus. They're not studying about our education or anything. That seems to be the main focus. Everywhere you go, vaccine, vaccine, vaccine.
Now, the reason why we are taking action today is very important for the context of today's action to be established. The PSU Public Service Union wrote to the director of the college inviting him to have a meeting with his staff. This was done on Tuesday. They were given until Wednesday to respond, within which time they did respond, but they did not respond with any sort of indication of intention of meeting with the staff. All they did was to respond to some points that we raised as issues of grievances.
And this meeting was about what exactly?
The meeting that we were requesting was to handle several issues.
Including the issues that the other folks have raised, the pension,
yes,
the working conditions.
all of those issues. But what the main point here is this: we were refused the opportunity to meet with our director on these issues. He absolutely did not show any intention of meeting, and we consider that to be very disrespectful. But in addition to that, in the correspondence that went to the community college, it was indicated to them that failure to respond for a meeting would result in industrial action. And this is what we are fulfilling today.
Can I ask you, what is your position on vaccination?
My position is quite public. I do not believe in mandating any vaccines whatsoever. It is to be left to a person's personal choice based upon their freedom of conscience, which is protected in the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I'm totally opposed to mandatory vaccination.
May I ask if you plan to get a COVID-19 vaccine?
I have no intentions of getting any.
So what happens on Monday?
On Monday, I'll be reporting to work.
But the government has said
what happens depends upon the dean, the director, and those persons in charge. I cannot predict their action, but I intend to report for work.
May I ask what they teach at the college?
Various subjects, mainly business-related, accounting, and several other courses as well.
Ms. Adams, you were telling me off camera that about the vaccination status of many of the protesters.
And yes, I'm saying about 90% of us are vaccinated, so we're not anti-vaccine. Anti-vaccination, we're not against vaccination, we have other issues. But what we are saying, if you expedite the vaccine, then expedite the other issues. Because we are vaccinated. Most of us here are vaccinated already. So it's not an issue.
Eyewitness News spoke to Osborne Bowens, Dean of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College, Division of Technical and Vocational Education. He agreed to comment on the lecturer's concerns, but opted to do so off camera.
I can respond to a couple of those issues raised. For example, the pension plan. I'm aware that the college is, by law, mandated to institute a pension plan as of 2007, I believe it was. That pension plan, I'm aware, is delayed, and it has been delayed for a while. As of January 2021, again, there was some acceleration of the process. to get the pension plan going. And then I understand that it is that there was some other delays from January 2021. I am not sure exactly what is the current status and what is delaying its implementation.
Okay, now what are the issues that the lecturers and the students raised about computer labs not functioning to capacity? One student said that they pay a technology fee, I think it is.
Okay, Mr. Chance, so we have on the division compound 4 computer labs. And you would appreciate that 4 computer labs with just a total of over 700 students. These labs are under constant strain. They are in use, as a matter of fact, every single day. Wear and tear is going to be an issue. We have other issues, hardware failure. 2 of those computer labs are past 10 years old, and you would appreciate that after 10 years, computers hardware would start to give issues. So we are in the process of replacing those computers in those 2 labs. I understand that there's already a tender out to have those computers replaced, and I think that we're in the process of doing that.
But some of the teachers did say that because of these outstanding matters, and then the vaccine mandate has come over, so they're using the mandate as a leverage to have these issues addressed. Do you think that is a fair or reasonable approach?
Well, the lecturers would have to determine whether their approach is fair and reasonable. I think that they are the ones who have these issues contending with COVID-19. And if they think that the time is right for them to conflate or even to combine these issues, and they think that one is going to help the other to be addressed, they would have to make that determination.
Are you fearful that maybe you would lose quality staff as a result of this mandate? And if so, what would you say to those members of staff who might be headed in that direction?
Losing of quality staff is honestly a concern I have, Mr. Chance. I have absolutely dedicated, talented, and as you're aware, technical vocational education, skilled person in some of those areas are extremely difficult to find and to replace. And as long as you begin talking about replacing people, then the issue of the quality is going to become a concern. You cannot pick up a refrigeration technician today to start technical training tomorrow. So to a machinist or somebody who is in building technology, these are not things that you can find very easily. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, we have been advertising for somebody for building for more than 6 months.
Building construction.
Building construction. That has not happened up to this particular point. So it's going to be difficult to replace, and I do have my concerns that quality could be compromised as a result of persons deciding that they're going to leave as a result of whether it be vaccine mandate or as a result of the pension plan that they're contending with. Either way, it's only a matter of the pension plan. I do believe that there is still an opportunity and a window that persons have a period in which they can still, if they so desire, take the vaccine and remain in the service of their students.
Are you willing or in a position to say what percentage of your staff, teaching staff, is vaccinated?
I think that there's somewhere close to between 65 and 70% of the staff currently vaccinated.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, in Kingstown, the regular vaccination efforts continued at the Solidarity car park on the reclamation site. Elsewhere in the city, Eyewitness News caught up with opposition leader Godwin Friday. He restated his party's objection to mandatory vaccination.
Dr. Friday, today is the 19th of November. It's the date that the Cabinet of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has set for public sector workers, most of them, to be vaccinated. Yesterday, a party issued a statement. Can you maybe tell us what that statement is about?
Well, what it confirms is basically the position that we've adopted in relation to this matter for quite some time, which is to say that on this very personal decision, which we know has social implication, but the personal decision as to whether to take a vaccine or not, that is a matter that each person has to be encouraged to reach towards their own decision. And when the government decided that they were going to bring legislation, you'll recall, in the parliament to open the way for mandatory vaccination, we opposed that. We came out and we opposed it on the streets when we had demonstration. Now they are putting it into effect by saying to public sector workers, police officers, that if they don't get vaccinated, that they are going to be on the breadline, that they're going to lose their jobs. I mean, that is a harsh and unfair and really very, very severe measure that this government has adopted. It is contrary to our democratic principles in the sense that this is a matter that the most personal decision that somebody has to make as to what you put into your body must have the consent of that person. And to say that it's not a mandate because you have a choice as to whether to starve or to take the vaccine against your will is really an attempt to pull the wool over people's eyes. And people are not stupid, they understand that. And we are calling the government in the statement that I put out, our party put out yesterday, to review and to pull back on that decision, because we still have a long way to go in terms of talking about how we get out of COVID. What this has done, this measure they have done here now, it has made so many people angry and opposed to the policy of the government, that the whole question of the public health issue is now being linked in with opposition to the government. And then that affects everybody. And so the long-term prospects of getting out of COVID is made worse, even though they may have forced a number of persons to take the vaccine in the short term. And then for those people, so I heard that some people have resigned. Nobody should resign because of this. Some people will, if they do not get vaccinated, will be released from their job. They say they're not getting paid. That is just adding misery upon misery. This is a common problem that we all have. COVID is a common problem. What they have done, what Gonzalez and his government have done, they have identified certain people and said that you are the problem. And the rest of us are going to make you essentially account for the entire problem of dealing with COVID.
The obvious question that people would have is, what is the alternative?
The alternative, Kenton, is to continue to talk with people, to reason with them. I find when I do that people initially, they might be hesitant. It takes time, but ultimately they come to a position of comfort because they see around them that a lot of the doomsday scenarios about what will happen if you get vaccinated are not reality. People are rational. It's a decision they're making where they feel that this is the better decision, the best decision for them. What we have to do is provide the information for them to say that given these new circumstances, this new information, that the rational decision is to do something different, which is, to vaccinate if that is the decision.
And what advice would you have for people who are unvaccinated, who haven't made up their minds, and who have to make a decision?
Well, it's the same that I have said all along. Hello, ladies. How are you? Hi. Some of them there. It's that I've told them my own personal story, and but I did that for my own benefit. And that everybody has to make a decision for themselves, inform themselves. They have an obligation to inform themselves. And as the information changes, as they become more aware and so on, they make a decision based on their self-interest. And I am confident people will do that because I see it. It's just that what I do when I speak to people on a one-on-one basis, it's a slow process, and we have to accept that this getting out of COVID now in this country is going to be a long, slow process. And that is what we all have to essentially be a part of the solution, and the government has to play a role. Those people who are being let go, those people who are having to force to resign, they're entitled to their jobs back. And NDP government, we would not be firing people on that basis, because that is just simply the wrong approach. It's going to create more resistance to people having an open mind towards vaccination, and ultimately it's going to create hardship for people. You mean somebody working with 25, 30 years of given service, and they're saying for this matter, I am concerned, I don't feel I have sufficient information to make a decision at this point, and you say, take it or go home? I mean, that is what the word that a lot of people are making. I walked around Kingston here today. The word that a lot of people are using to me is that it's wicked. They feel like this, they can't understand how it is that if you're given 25 years of service, 20 years of service, whether in the police service or in there as a teacher, as a nurse, or whatever public servant, and they're saying Do it my way, or you go home. No attempt at accommodation, no attempt at trying to understand where people are to see how we can move them along. Just my way or the highway. And that is wrong.
And finally, you were vaccinated about 9 months ago. Are you still considered as being fully vaccinated?
Well, I've done what they've said that they should, and as I say, I follow the scientific advice as you go along. I'm not a medical doctor myself, so I have to rely on information from persons who my organizations I trust, and that's what I do. So I took the vaccine in the first wave of, if you like, of persons who took the vaccine when they first came. But I mean, that was a decision I made personally.
You heard about booster shots?
Well, booster shots.
Have you been advised by the CIMO?
They haven't advised me to do it, but if they recommend that this is something that to do, then of course I will do it. But it's again, that is my decision because I feel it protects me. And when I talk to people, I don't talk to it because I say, listen, I do it, you should do it, or this is what the policy is and you should do it. I am really genuinely concerned about their welfare, their health. Friends of mine who have said, this is what you should consider because these are the pros and the cons. And then it's for them to make a decision. And a lot of people they do, to be honest with you. But this government now, at one point they were downplaying the severity of this problem. That they could handle it on their own, that this is something that, that Friday and the others are being too panicking about. And then all of a sudden you swing from one end of the spectrum to the other where you're now mandating vaccination. In other countries in the Caribbean, they're not doing that. In countries where they were talking about it in Ontario, Canada, in BC and in Quebec and so forth, they have pulled back from it because they recognize that this is counterproductive. And we are going ahead because what? Even if you're wrong, you had the power, you say you're wrong and strong, that is not the right way to govern.
Thank you very much, Dr. Friday.
But I am concerned about those workers who have left their jobs, or those who, for conscientious reasons, are saying that they will not or they cannot at this point vaccinate and may lose their jobs. Those persons are entitled to their jobs. An NDP government, we would not be firing people, and it means that in an NDP government, all those persons will be entitled to their jobs back.
Thanks
and we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One block up from the vaccination booth on the reclamation site, these protesters gathered outside the financial complex which houses the office of the Prime Minister.
Wait. Put it right on you want. Yes, I know. Say, Ralph, you have a problem. I'm fed up of you. I'm fed up of you. You have a problem. Yes, Kenton. Yes, Kenton.
Hey, how you doing?
I good. Who's mine? Come up here to this one.
Can I ask what is this demonstration about? Can I ask what this demonstration is about?
Just what you see here, Kenton.
We're
standing because we're opposed to mandatory vaccines. We are opposed to all of these impositions on our bodies, on our rights as citizens. There are a number of teachers here, as you know, the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education has already sent out the ultimatum to teachers, and so we are here standing because obviously what they're saying is ridiculously unfair. So we have decided that we're going to stand up for ourselves first and foremost.
So why do you say Ralph, your time is up? Who's this Ralph that you're referring to?
This Ralph that I'm referring to is Ralph Everett Gonsalves, who is the sitting Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm telling him his time is up because last year, on the very first day of him being in office, I stood here and I said to him, Ralph, do the right thing. Meaning, you're there, you're sitting in the prime ministerial chair, you're the one who is going to be leading the nation. Do right by all of us. Not just the people who support you, but do right by every Vincentian citizen. And I think after a year, he has proven to us that he's not for us. He is for himself. And so I think his time is up.
And you said we. Who is the we?
We, as in Vincent Chance.
You were saying we are here.
Oh, we are here as in Adriana King, Kenton King, John Mofford,
Sharon Kane.
Sharon
Do
King.
you guys represent an organization?
No, like I said, we're standing here for ourselves. First and foremost, we're here standing as individuals who believe that their rights are being infringed upon. So here we are.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, you say no to mandatory vaccination. I guess you imagine I imagine that you're talking about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Oh yes.
So what is your view on the COVID-19 vaccine altogether? Are you opposed to it altogether or just to mandatory vaccination?
To mandatory vaccine, because the choice should be given if people want to take the vaccine or not. I don't want any vaccine in my body, any COVID-19 vaccine in my body, and that should be my choice and that should be respected.
Do you work with the government?
Yes, please.
May I ask what kind of work you do?
I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher?
Yes.
So what are you going to do on Monday?
I'm going to work. I'm going to my workplace.
Can I ask which school you teach?
Pamela School.
And may I ask your name?
Martha Nimbless.
Sorry?
Martha Nimbless.
Okay. And are you a teacher also? Miss?
All down by